Diving in. Sometimes you want to wade slowly in. First, tender feet on a rough beach, sharp stones and pebbles making your hesitant way. Past ankles, knees, hips. You're breathing faster, getting used to it a little at a time. That's one way. But this is a hot, sleepless night with dreams you had long forgot. Your unknown future is out there. The surface of the lake glitters under moonlight. It is cool and silky. But the deep, dark waters hold secrets unknown. Dangerous boulders or felled logs. You cannot predict this. Or the terrible chance that you might instead skim the surface of your life. Or worse, dangle your feet from the safe seat of the dock. If you can imagine that first sensation, that realization that you have let go of the solid ground beneath your feet, the ground you grew to trust and take for granted, then this beautiful, buoyant body of yours, baptized by longing and desire, can rise up, trailing luminescent moonlight from your fingertips, breathless and bold. The poem Diving In actually is really appropriate for today, because I think sometimes that we have a sense of something out there that we want in our lives. It could be in our personal lives, it could be in our businesses, it could be in our communities, it could be a kind of activism or something that's really important to us. But there's a part of us also that isn't quite sure, and we'd rather just walk over the sharp stones on the beach and just get, what I'm talking about, trying to get into the lake a little bit at a time. I mean, does that ever work? So the things that I think about that are really important when thinking about diving in, and especially diving in as professionals. I mean, I'm going to talk about it from that point of view today, but I want you to know that when I talk about things that have to do with the professional sense, I don't really believe in having a personal life and a business life. I don't believe that. I don't actually believe in work-life balance. I think that your life is a whole and perfect entity, and that parts of it have to talk to each other. And then when the parts aren't talking to each other, then that's when it feels like you're out of balance, or it feels like things aren't working. And so diving in sometimes is about leaving that thing because you have to go on to something that's greater. And I think when you are in a position being a leader, whether it's in your work, your professional life, your community life, that sometimes you're called upon to dive in sooner than anybody else. And the way that I know to suggest that you dive in is by being able to find, stand, and embody your voice. The first thing is, in that poem Diving In, there are some very specific images there. I mean, I'm using the metaphor of going into a lake, going into cold water, and that the choices that you have are you can either do it slowly or you can dive in. But there are some things that are unknown when you dive in. And I have a great mentor who helped me turn into a businesswoman, which was an unlikely affair. And one of his things that he says always is, Libby, 80% and go. And at first I argued with that, because I was like, well, but that's not excellent, 80%, that's like a B, And he had some mathematical formula that would prove that the last 20% weren't that valuable anyway, just do it, right? And so sometimes I think that we get caught up in both the church of busyness and our complete obsession with perfection, that we don't dive in. And our voice is back there in the back of our head saying, wait, what about me? What about this way? But we don't do it. for lots and lots of reasons. And for me, I think, both as a poet and a person, and as a businesswoman, I never wanted those two images in the poem. I never wanted to skim the surface of my life, to only go on the surface. And I never wanted to be the person that just sat on the dock and put my feet in the water. And it takes a lot of courage to dive in, doesn't it? It takes a lot of courage.